we make wireless traffic like Wi-Fi faster. Okay, so that's, we can get into how that all works. The other thing we have is that we have this app and this back end and technology where if I take a photo or a video, I can actually share it among a private group of people, and it just happens. I mean, no more downloading from Google Drive, no more having to attach it to anything, no more sending as an email. So if you have, let's say, 10 or more photos, and you're just snapping away, whatever your private group is will actually share it. So it's actually sounds easy, it's actually not, and when you see it happen, it's kind of a little bit of a magic trick. So we started back in September 2013 with zero, and so to date we've raised actually a little over $4.5 million, and we actually, even though it says $350,000 in revenue, if you think about that over 2.5 years, it's really not much. And I got to tell you that the honest truth is most of that has nothing to do with us selling what we're trying to sell. And I'll talk about what you have to do sometimes just to kind of stay afloat. So there's a little bootstrapping here, but it is amazing, right? How do we get $4.5 million without selling a damn thing? And really, we're probably still months away from actually selling anything around our core product. We have 12 patents filed. I'm proud to say after about a year and a half, we actually was awarded one of the 12, and the other's still pending on the way. So it's nice when one of your co-founders is a retired engineering professor at UCI, and another partner who's just a freak of nature brilliant. Together, they actually they did this all themselves without any lawyers, and it's sometimes, believe it or not, you can do it. There's a lot of stuff that's self-help now on the patent office and the website, and it's amazing actually how much you can do and push it before you start involving a lawyer. And half the time, if it's technical, the lawyer's going to come to you anyway, and you're paying them to listen to you. We have 21 employees. This is a Friday, so we always do Hawaiian Shirt Friday. I know, everybody does their own thing to try to create culture. We have a guy that just loves Hawaiian shirts, and so we kind of all got into that. So let's kind of get into it. Hey, so one of the big kind of epiphany for me was, how many of you like to sell? How many of you are in a sales job or have been in a sales job? Like truly carry a bag, selling cars or insurance or something. All right, well, some of you. So for those of you who have not, if you've never thought about it, you better start thinking about getting into sales, because that's all you're going to do. If you're a co-founder, if you're a CEO, if you're anything to do with a startup, you're selling everything. You're selling your idea, you're selling yourself, you're selling your pitch, and if you don't understand even some of the basics of sales, I think you should go check it out. I mean, there's usually like 4 or 5 steps in sales, and it's amazing how much of it actually is applicable. Okay, so I used to be a salesperson. So what are those steps, right? It's the first step is you got to make an introduction, right? You've got to find a solution, a problem, present your solution, and then present a demo, and then go for close. Always constantly be closing. So some of you are thinking, well, what do you mean by close? Well, I'm not talking about just getting a new order. Sometimes you may just want to be closing just for another appointment. You've got to keep the process moving. And so, this is not a session to tell you about how to sell, but I'm just going to encourage you that if you've never done it, you should probably, as part of your incubation or your training, you should probably look it up. I mean, it's not as complex as it seems, but the steps actually are fairly applicable to almost anything. In fact, just trying to get your friends to go to lunch or a dinner to a restaurant, you're actually selling. Think about that. I mean, there's a whole exercise I go through young people about this to let them realize that you're selling all the time. You just don't realize it. Well, you got to apply that now to being a startup and getting funding. In the beginning, you're wondering what the hell am I selling? Well, you're selling your idea. Okay, and we'll talk about how to package that idea so that it becomes tangible. Because at the end of the day, you're asking somebody to give you money for something. And a lot of times it's not because they think they're going to make a lot of money. They have to believe that what you're going to do is actually really interesting. And I'll give you an example using what we did because it's not that obvious. I mean, at least your stuff. Oh, I get it. Bottle of wine, cap. I get that.
It's the alternative.
Right. Right. But remember what I said about our first IP, which was, I said, look, we accelerate TCP. Okay. I gotta tell you, we went to a couple of investors and they're just like, what? TC what? And then it wasn't until we dumbed it down to something that actually hit home to them every day, right? That they can relate to. And we said, hey, we speed up Wi-Fi. Oh yeah, Wi-Fi sucks in my house, or they got it. And then from there we plow down a little bit, through the layers. All right. So I'm going to keep on this topic of sales because a lot of you don't understand sales, and so when you sell something, you need sales tools, right? You need, whether it's a product sheet, an elevator pitch. By the way, an elevator pitch is a tool. And if you don't have that down, it's just like getting a job, right? So if you don't have that down, you're going to run into people everywhere you go that you're going to want to kind of get their attention. If you don't have that quick little 1 or 2 sentence, you're going to kind of stumble. I mentioned a product sheet. Look, you should create a product sheet. You should have some sort of a thing where you can hand out, whether it's a postcard or a true product sheet, depending on what it is you're trying to do. Obviously you have to have a pitch. You'll learn about that in these incubators and these accelerators and everything else. You got to have a pitch. If nothing else, the pitch organizes your thought. Okay, and so I'm not here to talk about what the pitch should be, but you guys, can go. There's the classic 10 page or 10 slide prezzo, and it's true. I mean, it basically hits home on every business plan point that you want to make. So go do that. What we did was we dumbed it down to where we said, okay, we could tell somebody we can speed up Wi-Fi, but what really gets people is how do you demonstrate that? Because we didn't really have, even if we had our product, I can't show you that packets are flying in the air at light speed. I mean, how do you show that? Think about that. So one of the things you guys need to do is take whatever it is your idea, you need to make it tangible. So, my partner was brilliant. We were sitting there one day and we had our pitch, we had our sheet, we got that thing down to where we said, oh yeah, we speed up Wi-Fi. My partner finally said, hey, you know what, let's make a video. I'm going, of what, right? So he said, well, what I could do is I can create a video, or I can set up a situation where I can show people that side by side, I can run a 2K video, and I can do side by side, one going through our technology and one not. And so our first video, our first demo, if you will, was a video where we showed 2 screens, like 2 iPads, playing 2K or full HD 1080. I'm sorry, 2K, full HD 1080 video. And if you've ever actually tried that, I'm sure none of you guys have actually done that because, frankly, you can't do it from the cloud. Okay. If anybody here says they've done it, you're bullshit. You can't do it. The infrastructure's not there. You can do it from a DVD, right? But we did it off the air. And we showed these 2 side by side, and what you saw was, that spinny bubble. And this one just kept playing. And this one kept spinny bubble. And we actually used a industry standard, there's a couple of 1080 that everybody knows, like the Big Buck Bunny, there's a couple other ones. And so my partner said, yeah, let's videotape this. So he stood up. By the way, it's on YouTube. This original video is up there, I think. But he stood up. He introduced himself. He said, hey, we have this technology. Let me show you how it works. And we showed it. And then we sent that around to some friends. And the first $75,000 we got was from friends that saw that and said, wow, if you guys can do that, that'd be great. Okay, so that was like our first 75.
So this is just the local set of buddies, right?
Friends and family.
Right.
I mean, we started with that. And so I guess to kind of summarize this, to make it sexy, easy, you have to really think hard about what you're doing and how to actually make it sexy and all that, okay? I mean, I know it sounds obvious, but I bet a lot of you haven't done it. I mean, we didn't think about doing it until I think we were literally sitting there. After we made several pitches, nobody got it. You could see the glaze in their eyes. And we had to make it so that it was much more tangible. All right. So who do you start with? Before I even start here, if you can do it, find somebody that you can partner with, or a couple of people. And if you can't, find somebody who has a little bit of money. Like, geez, if that was so easy, we all do it. You know what? I think sometimes you have to kind of look for that. When you look for co-founders and people like that, or people that a team member, believe it or not, there are some people out there, and I'll make a pitch for the old guys and the old ladies. They actually have money, and some of them are bored and would love to get in and do this sort of stuff. Okay, so look, the three co-founders, my two other co-founders were all over 50. And one of the advantages was that, two of the co-founders didn't have money for whatever reason. Long story, right? But I was the one that had a little bit of money. So my first parlay into this was, I said, yeah, you know what do we need? Well, immediately we needed like 30,000 because we had some things going on in Korea. And a flight, I was telling somebody, a flight to Korea and back is like $6,000. So, we needed to buy a server. So, you don't think about 4.5 million. You think, what's the first thing I need? I need to follow up on this demo or this opportunity because it's going to take us to a place where we can monetize it, right? If I can get a reference or testimonial or results, if it's technical, I can monetize that. Every bit I can monetize. So we need to go to Korea, we need 30,000. So I wrote a check for 50, right? And that helped. So, look, sometimes but my point is, I don't think we could have done it if we were all 20 and our parents didn't have the money. But the fact that we were all over 50, so one of my tips is look for somebody older. I mean, they're out there. Hey, they're out there. I can't tell you how many people I know in corporate America that's bored or looking for something else to do. And you know what? They're either going to put their money in a franchise or they're going to put their money in you, right? And if you let them be part of the ride, you know what? That's an e-ticket. Okay, I'm in this because I think the ride's fantastic. I'm not in this because I need some food on the table. But
are you selling shares or what are you selling?
We were selling shares. Yeah, private placement. Yeah. So let's just say, by the way, by having skin in the game, you actually check off one of the items when other people want to give you money, especially VCs or anybody who's in an angel, a true angel, professional angel. If they don't see you putting money or skin in the game, unless you have just an amazing idea that's already has all the other proven things, you're probably not. They're not going to tell you this. You're probably not going to get a look. They don't want people. Nobody's going to write you a check for 100,000 knowing that you're going to take 70 for salary. It ain't going to happen. It doesn't happen. All right. So you got to show that you have skin in the game. So what do you do first, right? You go to all your friends, and what I learned was this. Couple of things. These are quick hits. I'm from Silicon Valley originally, but I've been here for like 18 years. I went to my friends in Silicon Valley, and we got 75,000 from that. Why? Because, and they were all people that were middle class. They weren't your super angels. They were nobody, right? They weren't these big names like like Sheryl Sandberg. Even though I know a friend that lives next to her, never got money from those people. What I got initially was from all the people that were just working people at UNI. But you know what the difference was? They get it up there. They don't get it down here. None of my friends here gave me a dime. Okay, why? Because they just don't understand technology, especially when you're doing software and whatever. Yeah, if you're doing a bottle for wine, fine. I get that. A lot of your friends will get that because that's consumer. But some of you are doing stuff that they're not going to get. So look, I don't know how you do it, but I found if you can find areas, pockets where people are working in an area where they get it and they want to participate. It was interesting how many of these people work in high tech, but they could never get into a startup because they're not practicing angels and anything. But I got all these guys that worked at Western Digital up there, whatever, and you know what? We got $25,000, $35,000 from some of these folks. And it all starts adding up. I mean, my one friend, so what I did was I went to one friend, he went to 4 of his friends. By the way, that's the other thing about friends. Okay, so I'm gonna talk about introductions. The chances of you going to some friends and getting direct money from them, probably not gonna happen. It's sort of like salespeople walking in here selling something. You know, your chance of actually selling something directly to somebody in this room is probably small. But you know what? What I'm trying to do, what you should be thinking about is, how do I use that person as a gateway to their network? Okay, and there's ways of actually doing this that I've learned about introduction. So, you know, one of the things you want to do is, you don't want to just go to that person and try to sell, right? You want to make it more subtle. Hey, I'm doing this startup, I got this product. Do you know anybody that's like this? You know, do you know any soccer moms or soccer parents? Because the product I have is going to be great for soccer parents. And you know what? I'll bet everybody knows somebody with kids in soccer. So what you want is them to start going through the Rolodex and then introducing you to those people. Okay, so you have to kind of go after and give people a reason and an idea and a profile of who they can introduce you to. If you just leave it blank, hey, how's it going? I got this thing, you know, hey, can you help me out? And you go, yeah, sure, I'll help you out. Yeah, no, you know, as soon as you walk through the door, you're not going to help me out. Part of it is you don't even know how to help me out. You don't know who I'm looking for. So you have to make it easier for people. So this whole idea of introduction is huge. And I got to tell you, I learned about this, and it really worked out in opening a lot of doors from, gateway to other people. So let me give you some very specific examples. Two. One of them led to about $4 million. One of our programmer is Vietnamese woman, Angie. And I remember when we were kind of leading up to doing this company, we were all working at 3M, and she was still there, and I kept hitting her and other people, and I said, Angie, we want you to work for us one of these days. You're an amazing programmer, but we need help fundraising. She goes, oh, I don't know anybody. I live in Westminster. I mean, I'm Vietnamese. Who do I know, right? And so I kept hitting her about it. I said, oh, here, Angie, look, here's a product sheet. Hey, look, here's a demo. Here, look, go to your friends and just tell them that we do X. I made her recite our pitch. Well, turns out that she went to San Jose to visit some relatives. She actually has, through her friends and relatives, she's connected to several people in Vietnam that are worth millions. They all own factories. She came back from San Jose and she goes, hey, Tony, I just visited my cousins, and one of their rich friends was in town, and I was telling them about how you guys speed up Wi-Fi, and they go, oh yeah, Wi-Fi sucks in Vietnam, right? And they were kind of interested. I go, well, hey, can you get me an introduction? Yeah, I think those guys, they're going to actually be coming down and visiting. I go, look, I'll take them out to Laguna Beach. Let's go out and we'll hang out at that place, out in the near Pelican. Well, lo and behold, she arranged a dinner thing. We all met, and they go, oh wow, that's neat, really neat. Well, that turned into a 4-month relationship building. Well, this gentleman kept coming back to Orange County because he just bought a small hotel near Disneyland. Okay, so we got $1.5 million from that guy. Guess what? Then he had some friends. Turns out in just like here, but Vietnam is even more acute. The top 1%, they live right next to each other. They know all the other 1%ers. In America, it's a little tougher, okay? But there, the elite are small and easy to get to. So I got to tell you, of about $4 million we raised, a little less than that, came from 4 Vietnamese people. It's all because I kept on Angie. Okay, because if I could have just turned off and go, yeah, Angie's a waste of time, move on, right? Next. I kept at her. I keep after everybody. Another story, and this story could lead to another about $5 million. We're crossing our fingers. This guy's actually trying to raise the money right now. But I have a high school friend named Jeff. Same deal. I'm telling all my friends, and here's the mistake I think a lot of us make. When I thought about Jeff, Jeff was sort of I think kind of a loser. He was a really nice guy. He was kind of a loser.
Yeah, I have a lot of friends like that.
Right? And mentally I could have turned off, and I could have gone with that. my prejudice, but I kept thinking, you know what? I'm telling everybody, a person is just an introduction, a gateway to somebody else, right? Turns out Jeff actually knew a bunch of people. And when he got excited about what we were doing, I said, hey Jeff, look, I can use some help. I'm looking for somebody in this like this. Didn't hear from him for a while. Long story short, he connected me with a guy in Florida who's pretty well off. Does a lot of business, blah blah blah. The guy's name is Shane, and we just recently came back from seeing him in Miami, and he gave us a term sheet, $5 million, some percentage of the company, and as we speak, he's 3 weeks into it, and he's trying to raise it, and I think he may pull it off, but if he doesn't pull it off, it doesn't matter. The point is that I wouldn't even get to that chance, right? And unless you work people. I mean, I have hundreds of stories like this, and I just can't tell you that it's really about meeting somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody. So I can go on and on.
With regards to you were talking about people in Silicon Valley. Now, obviously, I don't know anybody that has contacts in Silicon Valley. Would it be advisable just to drive down there and go to one of their incubator meetings or whatever that's
We did
there?
We did that. You can. It's challenging. I mean, I'm not telling you not to. We did some of that. 'Cause, first you have to spend $200 to fly up there, right?
That's easy.
Right. And,
that I could do.
But I mean, if you can somehow jump on LinkedIn and try to figure out if you know anybody here that knows somebody up there. That's a good start.
Yeah.
Everybody up there works for high tech. That's what's weird about up there, right? Everybody up there works for high tech. If you can just get to meet some of these people, somebody works for one of those companies, a Google or whatever, and there's a lot of, like I said, worker bees that would love to just get involved but they can't. They don't know how. And even though you would think it's easy, well, yeah, just go to one of the meetups up there, right? And then just throw money around. Well,
Well, no, I mean, there's.
Yeah, people still are interested in what's your product and is there a relationship. Look, it all comes down to that they're comfortable that you're not going to run off with the money. So, but I say go try it. I mean, we tried it. It's extra work because you have to kind of get into that network and meet people. But if there's any way you can meet somebody down here that knows somebody up there, it would help a lot. Okay. All right. Keep going. Is this helping? I don't. I'm just a lot of people here. I don't know if this is useful. I'm just telling interesting stories. Okay, so this section is about living the startup dream, and I got to tell you some of the things that we did just to keep afloat. Right? I mean, look, my first 50 and the first 75, wasn't enough to do everything. But our first need was 30,000. Then we needed 150. Why 150? Because the guy that among us, the co-founders, that really meant anything, my partner, Dennis, he was working somewhere else because he had obligations. He has a family, he has a mortgage, right? So he's working. So at the pace we were going, where he was working nights and weekends, this was going to be a really long startup effort. So we had to figure out, how do we get him to work full time in this? So we had this target. We had to raise 150,000, and how do you do that? I mean, some of it is just, look, if your teammates have to work somewhere, they have to work somewhere. You got to stretch that out. So we were doing things like, I was meeting them at lunch, after work, weekends. We were doing whatever it takes, right? This is your bootstrapping. So you may have to do that. That's what you have to do. You got to take something on the side, and besides whatever it is you're doing. We made a lot of pitches, and we made it to everyone. And you know what? No matter how much you think it's a waste of time, you got to keep doing it, because I got to tell you, looking back, even to this day, we continue to refine the pitch, even after 2.5 years, because there's always still occasions where we're pitching. I mean, we just recently came back, and I have a photo in here. 2.5 weeks ago, we were out in New York pitching to Summit, Venture Summit. I mean, it's one of the biggest places where VCs actually go to, and we spent time refining the pitch for that. You think we just dust it off? And no, things change. You mentally actually see the product and a message and a value proposition differently. So that was really cool. So keep pitching. Just keep talking to anybody. So I talked about this a little bit. You know, you gotta kind of, if you're not the CEO, you have to kind of think like one. And one of the things you have to always think about is, how do I keep monetizing where we're at? How do I take whatever news I have, whatever progress I made, and spin it or demonstrate it? Because that's what people are going to look for. And I can't tell you, 2.5 years, you know, we keep adding little pieces that make the story a little bit more, we build more confidence in people that's going to give us money. And look, some of it is just keep doing it because you want your investors to give you more money. We've already went back to one investor twice. We've gotten 3 rounds from one guy. Okay, and you know, and we were very clever about some of the ways that we did it. One of the things we recently did. Here's another one of those kind of from the trenches. You know, because after 2 years, not selling a damn thing, what do you think your investors are going to say? When are you going to sell something, right? Yeah. So finally, one of the guys in Vietnam, we said, hey, you know, we need another $500,000. Otherwise, we're going to like full tent, right? And he said, we got the, wow. So you know what we said? We said, hey, we got a meeting coming up in Korea. Why don't you meet us there? We invited one of our investors to sales meetings. We got $500,000 the week after from that guy. Because, I mean, you know, and we, you know, you think after 2.5 years we would have thought of that sooner? It took us 2 years to figure that out, to think of that one. So that's one of those little tricks. I mean, sometimes, look, you need to, if you even at the beginning, if you can bring some people to what you do, they can see you're actually in it, and you're not just running around looking for a handout and you're going to run to Mexico or something. So those little things all add up. It creates something tangible that they feel that they can become a part of, that you're real. All right. You know, one of the things we did was we bartered. When we were in the Eureka building down in Irvine, which is a co-work space, we actually got 6 months for stock. Now, you know, we kept working the guy down there who owns the building, Peter Polydor, and you know, he saw us every day. It started off in this kind of like almost like a little dance, right? We were all excited about what we were doing. We thought we could conquer the world, and he kind of went, oh, that's kind of cool. You know, then we saw him again a couple of, you know, because we see him in the building. We kept at it, and we kept going, hey, Peter, you know what, we just had a great meeting up in Korea. Hey, you know, Peter, we just got this, you know, opportunity to sprint, blah, blah, blah. And we just kept at it. It took over 4 months. And finally, all of a sudden, we started seeing signs that he was starting to buy into our story, because he started bringing people to see us at our cube and say, oh yeah, and introduce us. Oh yeah, you know, these guys from Canada. Hey, you know, these guys from Badu. They're onto something kind of interesting. All of a sudden, we started seeing this thing turn. Anyway, long story short, there, you know, we actually talked him into giving us 6 months for stock, and he's still a shareholder today. I mean, he still has stock. You know, he's hoping that we'll check out one day. And, you know, he'll have this great story, right? Oh yeah, I was an early guy. Look at me. I'm worth billions now, right? Like that Facebook guy. You know, that might happen. So you know, I mean, I know that video companies, PR, you know, some people there are enough of them out there that will actually do things for you in return for something, or split part of it. We had a couple employees that actually said, hey, you know what, I want skin in the game in case you guys actually make it. We had at least 3 employees that actually took a portion of their salary and said, just give it to me in stock. So, you know, it happens. Let's see. You know, dialing for dollars. When I said that you better love sales, this whole fundraising thing is nonstop. You're always dialing for dollars. If you think the $5 million that we're going to be done, I already know after the 5 mil we're going to be going after more. So it never stops. You better love this, okay? It has to be more than, you know, you just pitching an idea thinking somehow it's going to be fantastic. Everybody loves your insurance idea. No, you know, you can only live on that, sustain yourself on that food for so long. You better be able to sustain constantly going out and pitching. You know, we're still pitching today, and I'll talk about some of the places we pitched at and what didn't work. So the picture on the right is that it was actually a pretty big room. I couldn't capture the whole thing. I should have done a panorama. I mean, there was probably 200 people in this room. This was one of those like triple wide where they took out the, you know, in a conference. It was at the Crown Plaza Hotel right off of Times Square. And if you've ever been there, they've got, you know, one of those things where they divide the room where they took all the blinders off. It was just this big, massive room. And my partner is actually right here. That's Dennis. Actually, you can tell he's bald. That's how you can tell it's him. I have hair. So he made the pitch, but we did a practice the day before, a coaching session, and so they had 12 VCs coach the pitch. And, you know, we got some pretty hard luck, you know, kind of comments. We incorporated it, and then we made the pitch on this day to about 200 people. And there were, I mean, I sat at 200. A lot of them were participants doing pitches. I say probably over 20 were actually VCs. And these are legitimate VCs. I mean, actually, it was really neat how close we were able to get with some of them. And probably the most promising thing that came out of that was we got a connection. We met the guy with Intel Capital. So we're talking to Intel, and they're actually interested in our acceleration stuff, maybe embedding it in the chip. So this may turn out to be, you know, worth the trip. But other than that, you know, a couple of things I said up there already. You know, getting educated, I think, is a big deal. I think sitting here, listening to some of these stories are great. I know that there's some, besides accelerators and incubators, you know, there's other ways of learning. I know that down in Irvine area, there's a Founders Institute that do some sort of structured thing like this where they walk you through, and they have an interesting model, so you can look it up. I'm not going to explain it to you, but it's kind of an interesting model how they do it. It's really interesting. They share in a little equity and all that, but it's a what they did was that they actually developed this whole curriculum based on something like, I don't know, 3 interviews with 300 successful entrepreneurs, and they kind of boiled it down and they did a whole thing on this. But you know, working in a co-work space, when we were at Eureka, it was wonderful. I'll tell you what, I mean, something great could have come out of that, but there were a lot of opportunities. Now, you know, look, not all the opportunities don't come along, but we met people that we could partner with. We met people that introduced us to people. It's really nice to be in an environment like this where you interact with other people. What was nice about Eureka is that everybody wasn't at the same level. You had a bunch of people that were startups, but you also had some companies that were already established that were there. That's a good mix in one place. Let's see, crowdfund. So we tried. We took a shot at crowdfunding. We got bloodied. You know, it's actually it's a lot of work, but not a lot of money. I say some of the stuff that you guys I heard may be actually very useful for crowdfunding. It's a lot of work because it doesn't happen by itself. I mean, but it gives you kind of an excuse to go to people, do big, huge emailing and friends, and because it sort of like gives you another story to tell, to go back, right? And it kind of makes you look real because if you do it right, there's, you know, it's a nice write-up, it's a nice video. I definitely say it structures you into telling your story, and I absolutely I think support people trying it. It doesn't cost a lot other than maybe the video, and you know, you can make it yourself with a little help. Yes.
Just to add something to crowdfunding, we did it for our company, and our purpose wasn't to actually raise money; it was to raise awareness.
Yes.
Because we got over 40,000 eyeballs on our mobile app, and even though we didn't reach our goal, it wasn't a matter of reaching the goal. It was a matter of just getting eyeballs and creating awareness for free. I mean, relatively free. And
people use it just to make sales.
Right.
Right. It's not just to get money to do a startup. So it's a great pre-sales or kind of maybe getting the product into the channel, signing up resellers. I mean, those are all reasons to do crowdfunding. My recommendation, bottom line, is I think you should do it just to organize your thoughts and get a platform to get the message out. And it's up to you how creative you are to do that. I mean, we went back to a lot of people just to say, hey, check it out. We used it to actually try to get press. You know, it's a great way to maybe get some free PR. Okay, and you kind of fun with it. I mean, you know, if you make a mistake, big deal. It's over in 60 days. Move on. Do another one. I mean, you know what I mean?
Did you do equity crowdfunding, or was it?
Okay, so we've tried both. We actually sort of tried both. We didn't do the crowd equity one. There are reasons for that. So we only did the the crowdfunding part. And we started with Indiegogo. Actually, we still have it running. It's pathetic. It's sick. And we learned a couple things. A whole nother story. Catch me afterwards. I'll tell you why. We learned a whole bunch of stuff. But Indiegogo is great because you can do flex. So even if you only raise $500, you still get to keep $500 versus Kickstarter where you can't. And I learned from the other people that are really good at this. They said do Indiegogo first, and then if it's successful, do Kickstarter. If Indiegogo doesn't work and you learn something, do Kickstarter. I mean, you know, it gives you flexibility that way. Question?
When we talk about the crowdfund, did you file your Form C by yourself, or you have a loan?
Form C
Yeah.
for crowdfunding?
Equity.
For equity.
crowd.
Oh, we had a law firm help us write up our private placement and stuff like that. But a lot of them actually will do it for you or have something, you know, sort of set up already. I mean, one of the great things about crowdfunding for equity is that they deal with all the funnel. They may go out and syndicate this out to 100 investors, but you don't have to deal with every investor. You don't have to deal with one choke point. You know, we talked to some of those guys. They're also called micro equity places. I think we just stopped doing that because we had some other experiences along those lines. We just felt like, okay, we kind of learned it doesn't really work that well. It doesn't work as well as you think. Let's see. Let me check my notes here. Yeah, we can. You know, there's lots of people talking about crowdfunding, but I'm just telling you that we tried it, and it definitely has its place. You know, we also did a lot of networking just to create network. I mean, you know, for 2 years now, I've been going around. I mean, that's where I met Dennis. You know, I've been going. So out of the 3 co-founders, I'm the guy out. I'm the outside guy, right? I attend everything, or at least for a while there, I was attending literally everything. You know, I was attending Startup Grind. I was attending Million Cup. I mean, everything you see up there, I've attended, and some of them on a weekly, regular basis. And you know, I've met a lot of people, and a lot of it was invaluable. I'm not saying every one of them turns into something tomorrow or whatever, but you have to do that. Somebody has to do that because, you know, your network's just not that large. Most of us just don't have a network that large. And so you have to just hit them all. I mean, look, I go all the way up to Pasadena. I mean, I've done the Innovate Pasadena thing at 8:15 in the morning thing. You know, that's 6 o'clock on the road for me, right? That's like an hour drive. So I can tell you all about these. These are the ones I've actually been to. I still go to them. I think they're good. Some great people. I mean, I've met. I mean, an example would be like Ryan Folan at UCI. I mean, that guy knows everybody, and he'll turn you on to somebody who knows a bunch of people too. You know, I've met a woman named Naomi Grange. She actually was a host for Startup Grind. I mean, she knew everybody, and you know, you want to get to know people who knows everybody because she goes to more of these activities than I do. So there's no way physically I could go to everything all the time. And there's people that do that. I mean, you know, Dennis is great. Dennis has really helped in kind of extending out to his network. I mean, he runs a meetup that has, how many members do you have? Yeah. So, you know, he holds these events where literally out of 1,800, he'll get 300 people, and that's a slow day for these guys. And they'll do, you know, all kinds of little demos of hardware and stuff. So, yeah, they do some really cool stuff. But that's an example. Look, I'll even tell you something we've done. This is one of those where I do it again type of thing. We've paid for introductions. We've tried that route too. A certain really well-known long-term mayor in this area that will not be named, hey, we gave him a consulting agreement, a fee, and he introduced us to people. I got an audience with guys like Safi, who was the AST, the S and the AST. I don't know if you know, AST was a big computer company down in Irvine, right? I mean, you know, Albert Wong, those guys. I mean, we were in his office, just 3 of us, 4 of us with the mayor, and we pitched to Safi. And I'm thinking, you know, the whole time I'm thinking, holy shit, you know, this guy, this is the S and the AST. I mean, this guy walked away with probably $300 million, you know? And anyway, it was, you know, we got introduced to Henry Nicholas. Interesting meeting. We got introduced to a bunch of Egyptian citizens that were looking to get money out right at the beginning, right at the middle of the spring, the spring thing. By the way, you know, that's interesting when you meet people, not just the Vietnamese. You'd be surprised how many countries where people are trying to get money out. Very interesting. Turns out the Egyptians were one of them. Anyway, you pitch these guys. You know, there was some interest. I'm not going to tell you what happened, but you know, we didn't get any money. But still, I mean, that's just tip of the iceberg. I mean, this mayor actually fulfilled what he said he was going to do, which was get us introductions. Right? Can't guarantee you're going to get money, and it's up to you and your story. But you know, we've paid people. He's not the first. So we probably paid 3 people to get us introductions. Okay, you know, does it work? You know what? It didn't really work for us. We didn't get anything from it. But again, was it because we didn't pitch well? Was it because our product didn't fit? You know, but I gotta tell you, it worked at least in terms of getting introductions. All right.